purpose of beginning our Board of Equalization valuation appeals. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to close the Board of County Commissioners and open the Board of Equalization.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so we're now sitting as the Board of Equalization. It's our job to determine if the market value placed on the property is fair and accurate. This is an official hearing. It is recorded. You'll be sworn in if you are presenting testimony. The appellant will have approximately 10 minutes and will present first. The assessor's office will then have the same amount of time. Each party will then have an opportunity for a closing statement with questions from the board. Okay. So whoever is planning on giving testimony, would you stand, please? Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be seated. Okay. And so, Heather, do you have any way of running time for me today?
Sure.
Okay, so we'll be doing 10 minutes for each side, and we will start with Mr. Beehner, and we are just considering the one parcel ending in 000A in this hearing, right? Okay, trying to keep all the paperwork separated. That's the one we're talking about in this hearing. Okay. Is that 876 Burke Road or 93 Tom Shee? I mean,
should be 93 Tom Shee.
93 Tom Shee. Is that the one that you're talking about, Mr. Beehner? 93 Tom Shee.
I believe so. I think I got it in. Yes.
Okay. All right. It's all yours.
I apologize. You got to put up with me. We tried to schedule this meeting around all the stuff we have, and I guess it couldn't happen. So Mindy wasn't available, so like I'll do the best I can. That's all I can tell you. So what she sent me is the shop stuff. For years we've tried to get the ProVal sheets corrected. Haven't been able to. Mindy had met with Corey and John over issues and concerns. I believe one thing was changed. I'm not 100% sure. Corey was supposed to get back to her and hasn't heard anything yet about the other issues Mindy had brought up at the meeting. And this is his email. Anyway, I guess one of the things I know off the top of my head about shop issues is asphalt has where I got three or four cracks in it. It's never been, as far as I know, haven't been depreciated with the cracks in the asphalt. And they're not little cracks. They're 15 feet long. Some of them are 5 feet long. Anyway, nothing's ever been done with that, even though we've shown pictures of it to the board and to the assessor's office. The shop is a 40 by 60 foot shop. That's what the building permits for. But because the edges are trim pieces that stick out a ½ inch on each end, now it's 40 foot 1 inch, which moves us up a bigger square footage. Not a lot of money, but it's my money. It's just the trim pieces. The county has been on the property since I believe my shop has been built. So they had an opportunity then to make it right, but it never has changed. So I guess that's it for that. That's all I have for that.
Okay. 10 minutes for the assessor.
You know, the Beehners consistently go on about correcting these mistakes in ProVal. What we use ProVal for is a tool. It's only a tool. I mean, an assessment is an opinion of value. So they use this tool, and it's not the only thing they determine to make value. I believe on that parcel, it's grossly undervalued. For instance, this is a common theme with the Beehners is we have it at 100. I'm doing some rounding here. 116,000. That's for 6,600 square feet of asphalt. It's got electrical, gutters, the land, cement floor in it. And if I'm lucky enough, I have Ziggy's building me a shop starting next week. That's 24 by 30, 10-foot walls, no electric, no floor. Doing some rounding again, $28,000. That doesn't include the land. It doesn't include the asphalt. It doesn't include electrical. It doesn't include the cement flooring. It does not include the gutters. And 30,000. And this shop is 3 times the size with 2 lean-tos on it, each 12 feet by 60. So, you know, their estimate of value at 87,000 is grossly underestimated, and I believe our value of 116,000 is probably low also. So that'll be a common theme you'll hear from the Beehners, is that the pro-val is not correct. Well, the pro-val gives us an idea of what we're dealing with. The ultimate value that's placed on that is Corey's opinion of value, or any appraiser's. He talks about the cracks, pictures. We've been refused access to the property, so we cannot confirm that. So, and with all the properties, we've been denied access. So we have to do the best we can and give our opinion the best we can on what we can collect. Yes, we can meet with the taxpayer, whether it's the Beehners or anyone else. We have a saying in our office: in God we trust, everyone else we verify. And if we can't get onto that property, we cannot verify. So we're forced to make the best judgment we can with the information we have. So, Corey, did you want to add anything?
You covered it on that. So.
And Corey, what he's going to present is that 3 of these parcels we valued together to come up with the value. We didn't do them individually, because this is one property with 3 parcel numbers. So it's hard for us to argue individual values, individual problems. One, if we've been denied access to the property, and 2, it's being valued as a whole. So I think when we get done, Corey will give you value and comps on the entire property, not just one portion. So.
My turn.
Yeah. Go ahead, you're within your 10 minutes still.
Okay. So you all can see that as well. And did you pass it down to Tracy?
Yeah.
So today, we came to the value conclusion using the market and cost approach. The subject's property sits on a combined total of 1.277 acres, and the dwelling is 2,502 finished square feet with 3 bedrooms and 2.5 bathrooms, with an attached garage, a 30 by 30 outdoor kitchen with 4 sides open, paving, and a 40.5 by 60 foot pole building with concrete floors and electricity. The pole building also has 2 lean-tos that are 12 by 60 on one side of the pole building, and ecology blocks for retaining wall. And comp number 1 sold in February of 2023 for $310,000. It has 1,513 finished square feet, which is 989 square feet less than the subject property. The land is also 0.72 acres less than the appellant's. This parcel is only 0.32 miles away from the subject's parcel. If we were to add all the improvements from the subject to Comp 1 along with the additional land, Comp 1's assessed value would be relatively close to the appellant's assessed value. Also, in Comp 2, sold in August of 2023 for $279,000, It has 891 finished square feet, which is smaller than the subject's dwelling by 1,611 square feet. Also, it is 1.012 acres smaller than the subject's. The dwelling has 1 less bedroom and 1.5 less bathrooms. This parcel does have some paving, 13 by 23, and a 13 by 18 attached garage. Also, it has an 8 by 12 shed. If we were to add all the improvements from the subject to comp number 2, along with the additional land, comp 2's assessed value would be relatively close to the appellant's assessed value. This property is only 0.37 miles from the subject. And comp number 3 sold in July of 2023 for $299,000. It has 1,060 finished square feet, and it is 1,442 square feet smaller with 1.5 less bathrooms. This parcel is rated close to the subject's property, along with being built 10 years prior to the subject's. If we were to add all the improvements from the subject to comp 3, along with the additional land, comp 3's assessed value would be relatively close to the appellant's assessed value. We were denied the opportunity to do physical inspections on this parcel. However, we had a meeting with Mindy Beehner on June 5th, 2024 in the lobby of the courthouse. In that meeting, the appellant mentioned that we did not have a record of a wood deck with the dwelling. I would not know if the wood deck is there or not because we were not allowed onto the property for inspection. The appellant also continually refers to evaluation errors, which after our meeting, it is agreed that there were corrections that needed to be made. After the corrections were made and new values were sent out, it seems there was still some discrepancies in what the 2024 value should be for these parcels. We must do a physical inspection of these properties to gather correct information, otherwise we use our best estimate for appraisal. After a meeting with the appellant, corrections were made doing the assumption of the improvements to and on the parcel. It is our opinion that $625,293 is a fair assessed value for 2024.
Does that conclude your remarks?
Yes, sir.
All right. Board, do you have any questions? I didn't give you a chance to question the applicant either, so do you have questions for either Mr. Beehner or for the assessor's office?
What was it assessed at last year?
Should be on that.
All third parties.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, please, sir.
$544,163.
Okay.
If I do my addition right.
Sure. Were those values carried over from ETA from last?
Were what?
Were those values carried over from last year's ETA?
I think so. So this is.
Well, they're working on it. I'll just ask you, do you know what your assessed value was last year for your total?
I'm not dealing with all these parcels at once. I'm dealing with the one that's in front of us, and that's what I'm dealing with.
Okay. So you don't happen to know that.
Well, I could add it up, but like I said, it's three separate, it's three different tax or valuations.
I have a question for the assessor's office, and my impression from local realtors are that values have been holding steady or dropping, yet we're showing an increase. What is that? Is that just based on these comps? Is what?
What time frame did the realtors give you, Commissioner?
I've just asked for the last 12 months.
So we've seen a steady increase. Remember, we're talking 23, and all these sales were 23.
Yes.
Now, January till now, gut feeling, because we don't even look at 24 values until the end of the year. I would guess they're increasing just slightly, but the properties are on the market considerably longer. So, the sales I look at, by far the majority of them are selling for considerably more, or somewhat more than what our assessments are. But again, we don't look at those until last year. I don't think we brought our trend sheets with us, did we, for 2023 for each area of the valley.
Okay.
But then too, I might add that every 5 years we look at a property, visit a property, look at the conditions, the grade, everything, if anything's been added or subtracted, and that area was done this last year, right, Corey? So that's a little different. We weren't able to access this property, so we can't determine if something's been added or some deterioration or improvements, but all the other properties in that area, we do an on-site.
But I just doing the math, and bear with me if I'm asking the same question accidentally twice. It looks like about a 10% increase in this property after we look at the adjustment you made. Is that the trend that we're seeing?
Do you remember what the trends were in that area? We can access that real quick. I believe there's a trend sheet on the counter computer.
That would be helpful, I think.
Would you?
I think he's going to come up with it. Did you have a question?
Yeah, gut feeling's not presentable. That is, I object.
We will give you a chance to counter. I'm sorry, I thought you had a point of clarification. Yeah, we will give you a chance to have closing remarks. That's why I'm after the trend sheet. But I understand what you're thinking. Yeah. Questions from the commissioners for either party? Is it going to take her very long to get to that?
No.
Pretty easy.
Just another 30, 40 seconds.
Appreciate it. Any other questions or thoughts for either of these two parties before I give them their closing remarks?
No, not on this one.
I just go by the Idaho Code of 63502. The taxpayer shall have the burden of proof in seeking affirmative relief to establish that the determination of the assessor is erroneous, including any determination of assessed value. A preponderance of evidence shall be suffice to sustain the burden of proof. We had a case last year where they did have sufficient. Do you have any more evidence other than just verbal or?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
What is that? Kim? 510. 510. Did you say 5 months ago?
Mm-hmm.
The improvements, we trended 20%. So,
For improvements.
yeah, not the land. So,
Thank you. Okay, any further questions? Otherwise, we have closing remarks, and bear with me, I'm looking at IAC's rules and our county, and let's see. Offered for each party to, our county rules say each party would have a chance for a closing comment. So I'll go to Mr. Beehner first.
The closing comment is last year took the big jump, and it was based on information presented to you guys on multiple listing services being the correct and actual prices of houses being sold to come up with our average of trend. This is multiple listing services, what it says on guaranteed prices. I'll read it. Multiple listing services not responsible for accuracy of information. So what it was based on, according to this, they can't guarantee what the assessors based the valuation last year on, or this year. If any of these are multiple listing services, which I don't know if they are or not. And the other one, I don't know if there wasn't enough sales in our area, but 7th Street in Silverton is not my neighborhood. This deal with Jerry Shop, doesn't mean anything to me. What a shop is going to cost him to build doesn't mean anything. And I guess my last thing I'd like to point out is that if I agree to let him on the property, what good you gonna do? Because all the ProVal sheets I've seen says spoke to the homeowners, no changes and no something else. And that's all that was done. So if I allow them on my property and I tell them no changes, no whatever the other word is, then are they going to leave? You got to take my word for it just like you do every other homeowner, or are you going to sit there and want to go through everything and say, well, you wouldn't let us through everything? I'm doing the same as the other homeowners do. You come on the property and then I'm going to say no changes. Are you going to believe me then? So, I mean, this is a sticky deal here, Don. What's going to happen if I allow them on and they're calling me, well, we got to go inside. Well, what about the other ProVal sheets I've seen that you don't go inside, but you believe what they have to say? That's my closing statement.
Thank you. Assessor's office.
We don't deal with what ifs. I'm sorry. When we're on property, we look at actual functional use. We look at depreciation. We look at appreciation. We see what's been done to the property or what hasn't been done to the property. So we don't deal with what ifs. And he can say this has nothing to do, but this is an actual. Everything we do is actual. You look at this doesn't matter. We go by actual sales to determine our trends. I mean, actual recorded sales. We don't do listings. And a few of them we do take the word of the taxpayer when they submit their affidavit, what they paid for the property. So I'm showing you that a shop that's a third the size, and all of these comps I think are inferior to that, but then what we have is that the true correct value of that property is $625,293. So,
Okay.
total.
Okay, thank you. All right. We've heard from both parties. We had your final comments and we've had our questions. So at this point, we will close the public part of the hearing for evidence and open the hearing for board discussion and motion. Commissioners.
Okay, I think I asked this last year. There was no way that the two could get together and do a site inspection with Mr. Beehner. We went through this last year.
I would do what every other homeowner does. And I think every ProVal sheet I believe that I've seen is the neighbor down the street that did a remodel actually told them no changes. They didn't go in. And that's where they got nailed on the high. I believe Mindy told me the 2 home sales in our area went up 15%, and the homeowner, or the home that got remodeled, and you guys, I have no problem helping me out, went like up to like 40%. So when you averaged it out, it was like 30% up, 15 or 25, something like that. So I'll do anything every other homeowner is allowed to do and say no changes, and that's where I leave it. I mean, I'm no different than anybody else.
Okay.
I disagree.
Can I add one thing?
Well, this is her question, so it's not their comment time, but you did ask a question. So.
Yeah, go ahead and finish yours.
I want to finish up I've been professional in this meeting, and I don't believe this Mr. White is making stuff get personal, and I don't agree with that. I'm trying to be straightforward with you. I'm not calling anybody full of BS or anything else. That's why you can't get along on this. So that's my closing statement. Well, I hope I answered you.
You did, thank you.
Those are his personal views. He has showed no proof whatsoever that the value is incorrect. I don't hold it personal. And he says he does what every other property owner does. That's incorrect. We probably get refused access to properties, I guess, less than 1-2% of the time. So he's in the 1 or 2%. So it's not like everyone else. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other questions from the board?
Would you be interested in letting them on your property to do some depreciation, or would that be not an option?
I'll do the same thing that the profiles say that other people have done. I can make that deal. And I couldn't tell you, I was trying to find out which one said, no changes, didn't go inside. Mr. White has also made the comment before that nobody wants us in our house. So that's why they have so many that says no changes and don't let them in.
And I'd agree with that 100%. I guess 90% of people don't want us to have access inside their house. We appreciate that. We respect that. Just, I don't want it, but we do get access to the property to determine the best we can. So, and that's what this value is what we observe. It's the best of our knowledge, that's what we see.
Any further questions or comments?
No, not at this time. So you would let them in the outside of the house? I didn't understand what you said. Did you? You won't let them in the house, but you'll let them on the property.
That's what the other people do. That's what I'll do.
So you let them on the property. So yeah, okay.
We have a very, very, very short window to do that. Because we're getting the board here today and tomorrow. This Monday morning. And that, the appraiser would have to compute that and work that out too on their findings.
What do you want to do with that? That is a difference this time. They only have one working day after the hearing. Suggestions, ideas? Well, let me follow up on your suggestion with the assessment. Do you think if it could be done, would getting on the property make a difference to your research or to
Right. It's hard to say, right? Without any doubt.
Sorry, I cut you
Well,
off.
no, that's fine. If they're willing to, I think on site. When's the last time you've been on site?
2018. Yes.
If they're willing to do it, I think it's worth a shot. But
I would also agree with that as well. If they're willing to do it, then I think that would be a fair assessment. They haven't go out.
So process wise, if we did that, and just help me out here, work this out, that means you guys would have to go back Monday morning and we'd have to have a hearing Monday afternoon.
Correct.
Yep. I'll be here.
Right. That's not the problem, I don't think. I'm just trying to make sure we have to be all done
Process.
Monday. Mr. Beehner, what do you think of that?
Like I said, I'll do what everybody else does. Not everybody. There's people that refuses, but it's like being held hostage is what the whole thing boils down to. You can take pictures and you're still being called that you're not telling the truth. So,
And nobody said they are not telling the truth. We just need to confirm.
Okay.
All right.
And not Mr. Beehner, but any taxpayer has incentive to not give us the full truth.
All right. Then in that case, I would entertain a motion to continue this meeting to Monday afternoon after the assessors had the opportunity to go on the property.
Oh, so moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Do we want to do? Would that just be the shop property only? Is that what we're talking about?
By the rules so far,
Yes.
that's all we're
Okay.
talking about.
Okay.
I mean,
Yes, you're right.
when we're through with all of his meetings,
Yes.
then
Okay.
we may decide. But
Okay.
okay, Mr. Assessor, can you make it work?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries to continue to Monday afternoon, which we'll have to reschedule, Heather. For
Yes.
okay. All right. With that, we need to adjourn and come back to our next meeting.